Hi, this is Frid from The Joy of Syntax and English in Color with video 2 in the series about how my book The Joy of Syntax came to be. Yesterday I told you about how a statement that Dan Fountain made in an interview with Terry Gross gave me the idea to actually write a book. It was, one of the seminal moments that I remember. There are many moments that happen, and that was a very seminal moment. And the key statement was, Dan Fountain said, "I don't write books, I write pages." And this statement somehow resonated with me so much. One thing was that I had been writing pages for my students for a few years, and I already had many organized pages. And it was also this idea, this idea of writing something in small increments. My book has 460 pages, and if I had sat down and said, I'm going to write a book that's quite innovative and has 460 pages, I would never have begun. Yeah, so at writing these pages for my students and then later hearing how a well-known novelist wrote 10 novels writing pages, that was so encouraging. And today I want to tell you a little bit about the title. I obviously knew about the joy of sex and the joy of cooking. I didn't have a copy of the former, but I had a copy of the joy of cooking. I still have the copy, even though I don't use it anymore because I'm vegan now. But anyway, that's a different story. And I never had this idea of using the joy of syntax as the title for my book. And it happened like this. For a while I had to teach grammar classes at 8:15 in the morning, and it was quite stressful for me. I had half an hour road trip, which is not much by American standards, I know, but it was quite a bit for me. And before that I had to get the boys ready for school and drop them off at school, and then go and find parking, and then walk to work. And then when I was finally there, I was rushed into the auditorium, and I always made it, but it was always sort of stressful. But the stress made me wide awake. And then I was really happy to see my students, and I was excited because I love teaching, and I particularly love teaching grammar. And so I was prancing up and down, trying to make them fall in love with absolute phrases and what have you. And they were just groaning and saying, "Oh my God, Frid, how can you be so wide awake this early in the morning?" And then I was just joking, and I said, well, I love being with you guys, and I get to teach you the most beautiful language in the world. And by the way, did you know that humanity rests on 3 pillars: sex, food, and grammar? And sex and food already have their joy book, and I am trying to give you the joys of grammar. And because I was focusing on syntax at the time, and I still am when I teach grammar, syntax, it's obviously the cooler concept and the cooler word. I chose that title, and I chose it, it was a spur of the moment thing at 8:30 in the morning, probably, pouncing up and down, loving it, and trying to teach grammar to very tired students. And so the next time I put my reader out, I called it The Joy of Syntax. Actually, hang on a second. I still have one of the, not the first copy, the third, I think. Hang on, I'll show you. Here it is. The Joy of Syntax, Friderike's Sentence Cookbook, an introductory guide to syntax and basic recipes for English. What is it? English sentences. Oh yeah, it's a long time. Yeah, that was in 2012, but that was 3 years after listening to the interview that Dan Fountain did. Yeah, and then it just was sort of a joke at first. I had this idea of writing the book, and then this reader was sort of a joke. But then actually by the time I had this reader ready, I already was determined that I would write the book. Yeah, and then in January 2017, this book came out. And yes, forgive the unprofessional cover. I made it with a Word document. I'm not a designer, and it was just taken like that. I was actually not quite aware that it would just be accepted like that. I thought they would just play with this, but they didn't. And by the time I realized that, I didn't have the time or the money or the patience to wait yet more time, to wait for the book any longer. So it's what it is, and I love it. Okay, I don't want to keep you any longer. Tomorrow I'm going to tell you some more about the strategy that I used to then finish this final manuscript. Have a nice day. Actually, it's evening here, and I will see you tomorrow. Thank you for listening. Bye-bye.